A significant pattern shift is developing across the United States. And if you've been experiencing unusually quiet conditions, unseasonable warmth, or just waiting for winter to actually arrive, the next 7 to 10 days will change that. Let me walk you through what's happening, why it's happening, and what you need to know. Right now, conditions across the country couldn't be more different. The eastern plains of Colorado saw temperatures drop to 17 degrees this morning. Wind chills down to 5 degrees. That Arctic air mass sitting over the high plains is about to start moving. Compare that to the Gulf Coast. From Texas through Louisiana into Mississippi, it's been warm and humid. Tornado warnings Friday morning in Mississippi. Severe weather moving through. Temperatures running 10 to 15 degrees above normal for mid-January. South Carolina has been dealing with rainy conditions all week. Western North Carolina getting steady precipitation. Near record warmth across much of the southeast. That changes dramatically starting Sunday into Monday. The pattern many of you have been waiting for is finally setting up. Maryland, I know some areas haven't seen a major snowstorm in 2 years. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, the Northeast has been relatively quiet. This system has potential, but I'm not going to promise anything until we see how these pieces come together. Here's what's driving this change. A deep trough is digging into the western United States. This isn't a subtle dip in the jet stream. This is a significant southward plunge that's going to allow Arctic air to spill out of Canada and push all the way to the Gulf Coast by the middle of next week. The GFS model has been consistent on this pattern for the past 4 to 5 runs. The European model is in agreement. The NAM shows similar features at shorter range. When you see that kind of model consensus 5 to 7 days out, you pay attention. The trough axis is forecast to drop through the central Rockies Sunday into Monday. Behind it, a strong Arctic high-pressure system will build across the northern plains. We're talking surface pressures approaching 1035 to 1040 millibars. That's a robust high. What that means, cold air will be forced southward and eastward. Not just cool air. Legitimate Arctic air with origins over northern Canada. By Tuesday and Wednesday, this air mass reaches the Gulf Coast. Freeze warnings will extend into central Florida. Hard freezes across Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. Areas that don't typically see temperatures in the 20s will be dealing with it for multiple days. For those in Florida, most of you don't own heavy winter coats. And that's understandable. You don't need them 99% of the time. Multiple thin layers work better than trying to find a parka you'll use once every 5 years. Long sleeve shirt, sweater, jacket. Trap the air between layers. That's your insulation. Protect your pipes. Outdoor faucets need to be covered or dripping. Bring in plants that can't handle freezing temperatures. Check on elderly neighbors. This cold will be a shock to the system for areas not equipped for it. Now, the cold air alone isn't the story. What makes this pattern interesting is the interaction between this Arctic air and moisture. As the trough digs southward, it's going to tap into Gulf moisture. Warm, humid air over the Gulf will try to push northward even as cold air is pressing south. That clash creates instability. That's where we get our winter weather potential. The timing matters. And right now, we're looking at 2 potential systems. Maybe 3 depending on how this evolves. The first system moves through Sunday into Monday. This one brings snow to the Rockies and Central Plains. Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas. Snowfall totals of 4 to 8 inches for the higher elevations. Less in the lower areas, but still enough to create travel problems. That system tracks eastward Monday night into Tuesday. As it does, it encounters colder air that's been building in behind the trough. Rain changes to snow across parts of the Ohio Valley and lower Great Lakes. Wisconsin saw rain Friday morning. Some areas already reporting snow as I'm recording this. That's how quickly this transition happens. The second system is more complex, and this is the one that could bring significant snow to the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. A surface low is forecast to develop along the Gulf Coast Tuesday into Wednesday. It tracks northeastward along the coast. Classic Miller A setup for those familiar with winter storm classifications. Low pressure moves up the spine of the Appalachians or just off the coast. If that track is correct, and if the timing is right with the Arctic air, we're looking at potential for heavy snow from the Tennessee Valley through the Carolinas into Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and southern New England. The models are not in perfect agreement on the track yet. The GFS has been showing a more inland solution. The European has been a bit farther offshore. 20 to 30 miles makes the difference between heavy snow and mostly rain for cities along I-95. So what are we looking at for snowfall potential? Highest confidence right now is for the interior Mid-Atlantic and southern Appalachians. Western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, Western Virginia, West Virginia. These areas could see 6 to 12 inches if this system develops as forecast. Maybe more in the higher elevations. The I-95 corridor from Richmond through Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, up to New York. That's the tricky zone. Too far west, you get snow. Too far east, it's rain or a mix. Right now, models suggest a transition from rain to snow as the system moves through. Exact amounts depend on that track. Interior New England, particularly western Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. If the low tracks favorably, you could see substantial snow, 8 to 12 inches possible, maybe more. Confidence level on this forecast. Medium to medium high for the general pattern. We know cold air will be in place. We know moisture will be available. The question is exact timing and track. For comparison, this setup is similar to what we saw in January 1996. Many of you remember that storm. Low pressure developed over the Gulf, tracked up the coast, deepened rapidly. The Mid-Atlantic and Northeast got hammered. 2 to 3 feet of snow in some locations. I'm not saying this will be that extreme. Model data doesn't support that level of snowfall right now. But the pattern has similarities. Cold air in place, Gulf moisture, favorable upper-level support. The third potential system comes late next week, Friday into Saturday, January 17th into 18th. Another shortwave moves through the flow, another opportunity for coastal development. It's too early to have high confidence in that one. We're looking 9 to 10 days out. Patterns can shift. But it's worth monitoring. The overall setup remains favorable for winter weather across the eastern United States into the third week of January. Let me address something I know some of you are thinking. We've been hearing about potential winter weather for weeks now. Models show snow, then it doesn't materialize. Or it tracks differently and you get rain instead. That's frustrating. I understand that. Winter weather forecasting in the transition zones is difficult. We're dealing with razor-thin margins. A shift of 50 miles in storm track changes everything. A couple degrees in temperature determines whether you're shoveling snow or dealing with freezing rain. What I can tell you is this. The pattern is changing. The ridge that's been keeping things mild and quiet across the eastern United States is breaking down. Cold air is coming. That's not in question. Whether you see snow, and how much, depends on storm tracks we're still trying to pin down 3 to 5 days in advance. Now, let's talk about what you need to do to prepare. First, understand the temperature drop. Some areas will see temperature swings of 30 to 40 degrees in a 24-hour period. Missouri, you've been sitting around 40 degrees with quiet conditions. By Wednesday, you could be looking at highs in the teens. That kind of rapid temperature change affects people. Sinus pressure, headaches, joint pain. If you're sensitive to barometric pressure changes, take precautions. Have medication ready. Stay hydrated. Dress in layers even indoors if you're trying to keep heating costs down. Second, prepare your property. Check your heating system now. Don't wait until it's 10 degrees outside to discover your furnace isn't working properly. Change filters. Make sure vents aren't blocked. Stock up on essentials. Not panic buying. Just make sure you have enough food, water, medications for 3 to 4 days. If a major winter storm does develop and you lose power or can't travel, you don't want to be scrambling. Third, plan your travel carefully. If you have trips scheduled for Tuesday through Friday of next week, monitor conditions closely. Winter weather in the southeast and mid-Atlantic creates chaos. Roads that rarely see snow and ice become hazardous quickly. People don't know how to drive in it. Municipalities don't have enough equipment to handle it. If conditions deteriorate, stay home. It's not worth the risk. Fourth, protect vulnerable populations. Check on elderly family members and neighbors. Make sure they have heat, food, medication. Hypothermia can develop faster than people realize, especially for older adults. Bring pets indoors. If you have outdoor animals that can't come inside, provide adequate shelter and unfrozen water. For those in northern areas who deal with this regularly, you know the drill. But for the Gulf Coast and Southeast, this level of cold is unusual. Take it seriously. Some practical tips. If you need to shovel snow, don't do it all at once. Pace yourself. Take breaks. Snow shoveling sends more people to emergency rooms than you'd think. Heart attacks, back injuries, exhaustion. If your vehicle gets stuck in snow, don't spin your tires. You'll just dig yourself deeper. Keep cat litter or sand in your trunk. Put it under the tires for traction. Costs a few dollars. Works better than most traction aids you can buy. If you lose power, stay in one room. Close off other parts of the house. Body heat and shared space will keep you warmer. Never use a gas stove or grill for heat. Carbon monoxide buildup can kill you. Let me give you the timeline one more time so it's clear. Sunday into Monday. Snow develops across the Rockies and Central Plains. Northern tier sees the first push of cold air. Monday into Tuesday. System moves into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. Rain changes to snow. Temperatures drop significantly. Tuesday into Wednesday. Arctic air reaches the Gulf Coast. Freeze warnings across the deep south. Potential for coastal low development. Wednesday into Friday. If coastal low develops, winter weather spreads across the southeast, mid-Atlantic, and northeast. Exact areas and amounts still uncertain. Late next week, another potential system. Too early for details. What I'll be watching over the next 48 to 72 hours. Model consistency on storm tracks. If the GFS and European converge on a solution, confidence increases. Upper-level energy timing. These shortwaves moving through the flow need to phase correctly to produce significant coastal development. Arctic high positioning. Where that high sets up determines how far south the cold air penetrates and how long it stays. I'll have updates as new model data comes in. If significant changes occur in the forecast, I'll let you know. This is not the apocalypse. This is winter. Cold air and snow in January is normal for much of the country. What makes this notable is the extent of the cold air southward and the potential for winter weather in areas that don't see it often. You've dealt with worse. Many of you remember the blizzard of '78, the superstorm of '93. You know what real winter weather looks like. This may or may not reach those levels, but the pattern deserves attention. Stay informed. Make sensible preparations. Don't panic, but don't ignore it either. The models will continue to adjust. Storm tracks will shift. Snowfall forecasts will change. That's the nature of forecasting winter weather this far in advance. What won't change is the cold air coming. What won't change is the need to be prepared. Check back for updates. Monitor local National Weather Service forecasts for your specific area. They'll have the most accurate information as systems get closer. Stay safe, take care of yourselves and each other. Winter is here.